This day and age here in 2021, we've seen a lot of improvements from Hasbro's main line. We've seen some massive jumps in the third-party Legends scale. Today I want to talk about whether or not the Masterpiece scale is still relevant in 2021 with all the great things going on in the main line, all the great things going on with Legends, and we're going to talk about this coming up. First off, I want to talk about the Legends scale, and this picture really does sum a lot up. Magic Square has some of the greatest designs in the Legends scale third party, and when you look at this, you see a much cleaner look to the Legends figures than even the Masterpiece figures behind them. If you look, there's less panel-y, less panel lines, a much cleaner, smoother look, and very close to the animation. Maybe a little bit more of a heroic inspiration, because that is kind of the Magic Square style, but you have to admit that they look a lot more advanced, look a lot more like you'd expect a modern day figure to look. Now, part of this does go to the fact that those molds behind them, the Masterpiece molds, some are almost a decade old. So when you think about that, it does kind of say, well, some of these designs are only 2 years old versus a decade old. So you could kind of see that there is going to be some sort of improvement. But those smaller scale with even a better look to them is quite impressive. You also see companies like New Age putting out really awesome looking figures. There is kind of a battle too right now between New Age and Magic Square. So you have options in Legends. Options, in fact, more options it seems every month with new reveals than you do in the Masterpiece line. So if you don't so much like the Magic Square design, you prefer the New Age design, you have that. And it's not just options for one character. It's a multitude of characters. They are battling back and forth. In fact, the combiners that they're making are apparently going to come out way quicker than a Masterpiece combiner. So when you look at Legend, you're going to get the figures faster. You're going to get more characters represented. You're going to get more designs. And you're going to get more options in a shorter time frame for less price, less cost. Now, Legends are still pretty costly for what they are. For the most part, 4-inch figures, you're paying about 75% of what you pay for a Masterpiece figure, but you're still paying less and you have more options. Also in the Legends scale, you have the McFans Toys. A lot of people kind of glaze over the McFans Toys offerings and don't think much about this company, but this here is truly the wild card in Legends, because not only does McFans Toys sort of knock off some of the other companies like Magic Square, and they make them bigger, kind of a plus scale, make them a little bit larger. Not only do they do that, they also make a lot of improvements to them, but they still come up with their own designs. And in the Masterpiece scale, we were waiting for a lot of these releases. Will the McFans Toys version of Blitzwing come out before the Fans Toys version of Blitzwing? It is very possible we see the McFans Toys or Mechanic Studio version of Blitzwing come first, while the rest of the Masterpiece collectors are still waiting on the Fans Toys version. Now, we already have a couple versions of this character from years and years ago, but what's going on today with modern updated sculpts and updated technology, we're getting that in the Legends so fast. And then some people could also argue, well, the point of their mini masterpieces in the Legends line, that is the whole goal of Legends, though, is for third party to make masterpiece-esque type figures, but make them a whole lot smaller and more affordable, so it takes up less space, it takes up less cost to your wallet, but it also looks like you still have a Masterpiece figure standing there on your shelf. So that is kind of the whole thought process behind the Legends, and with this Wreck-Gar from McFans Toys, Mechanic Studio, I think it looks great. One more really big point about Legends figures is availability. It's like you never see Legends figures sell out at pre-order. Now, you see a lot of Masterpiece sell out at pre-order, but you don't ever seem to see, say, a Legends figure sell out at pre-order. And so with that, with the fact that you can get your hands on them, it makes it a little bit easier, a little more fun to collect in that regard. In that point, the fact that you can actually get it is a big deal. I know a lot of people are frustrated with Masterpiece figures that sell out in minutes or seconds on pre-order. I don't know quite how fast those Fans Toys ones sell out, but they do sell out really fast. And so for that, being able to get a pre-order in and have days, weeks, months to put your pre-order in, that's actually a plus. And on top of that, getting to actually finish a team. I know that in the Masterpiece scale, we've been trying to finish Headmasters for a long time, and it's to a point a lot of people just gave up. I mean, it's easy to give up if you've been working on a Headmaster team for 5 or 6 years now, and there's no sign of it getting finished or completed. Now with Legends, you're knocking that out very quickly and very easily. Actually, in Legends, you already have them in older forms, so it's kind of one of those things that you could still finish your team or have an expectation to finish that team. In the Legends scale, when in the Masterpiece, there's still a bit of a question mark there. We're also starting to see leaps and bounds in Legends from the older iterations to newer iterations, kind of with this Perceptor that's coming out. But we're also seeing the same kind of stuff going on with, say, this Triple Changer right here. So we're getting a Springer, and effectively it's the same company making a 2.0 also. Now, I'm not a huge fan of seeing the 2.0 stuff come around, but it's starting to happen in Legends, and it's happening in Legends way faster than it ever did in the Masterpiece scale. Hasbro has done a lot in their mainline. Hasbro has started to move in a new direction. It's really a lot of Takara's work because it is a joint venture between the two of them. It's more or less Takara's engineering and Hasbro's distribution to bring the Studio Series 86 to market, and it looks great. A lot of people say that this Hot Rod is a mini masterpiece being found on store aisles for $30 or less, or significantly less these days. And it is really a good option. It's a great figure for what it is for the price point. The Kingdom line is continuing what they started with Siege, where in the Siege era, the figures didn't look so much like they were G1, but you started to see now that as we saw Earthrise and Kingdom, these figures look very much like they walked out of the cartoon, and for $20, $30, or $50 price point, they look great. They look amazing. People start to wonder, in some cases, could you replace your Masterpiece with this? Could you have a Masterpiece replacement with, say, the Grimlock or even the Siege Jetfire? A lot of people do actually swap out the Siege Jetfire as their Masterpiece figure. So is Masterpiece still even really relevant today in 2021? But of course, one of the questions is, how much longer will Hasbro even continue making some G1-esque figures and have those on the store aisles? Like, there's got to be some sort of expiration date to G1 where they start transitioning over to, say, Beast Wars and moving to other generations than Generation 1 when it comes to Transformers, and that day may be coming soon. G1 on the toy aisle as being dominant, it might be expired soon. So with all these great points in favor of Legends, in favor of Hasbro / Takara mainline, is Masterpiece still relevant today in 2021? And I'm going to say definitely yes. Masterpiece is relevant for a lot of reasons, and the first reason is because, for me personally, I view Transformers as big, larger than life characters. So the size, the scale, it is impressive to be at least the 9-inch scale, if not the 12-inch scale. So the larger size to me is a big deal. Now, space is an issue to other people, which is why the mainline and the Legends are a huge, huge, big factor for them to collect those more. But if you have the space that you can allocate towards it, it is definitely very impressive, and it has a greater presence on the shelf. The other reason is the finish. Now, you still see mainline figures mostly of bare plastic. You also still see a lot of the Legend figures are unpainted, and you're paying a bit extra to get the extra paint on a Legends figure. And some of the New Age stuff does come out of the gate well painted, but for the most part, you're not getting that finish unless you get a Masterpiece figure. So the finish is a really big deal. The level of paint and the level of detail that you only seem to get in a Masterpiece figure, which actually makes it feel like it's a high-end collectible versus a toy. And yes, they're all toys to a point, but a higher-end collectible with that level of paint, with that level of fit and finish, you only seem to see consistently in the Masterpiece scale. We're also starting to get a few more options these days. Maybe it's not exactly what we wanted in options, as in more different, diverse characters. Now we're just getting the same characters remade. It's what it feels like. It's kind of cannibalizing itself, but some of these newer versions do look really good. Everything seems to have a plus and a minus, but even with Takara stepping up and making better versions of the past characters, it gives us more options, maybe better options that way. There was a time where options were almost overkill in the Masterpiece line, and these days it seems like the options are dwindling. Some of them are harder to find. You can't seem to readily find them all, but they're still there. There are still options available if you'd like to choose between one version or another version of a particular character. I still see a very bright future for the Masterpiece line. I see a lot of figures coming, and it does seem like it takes a bit longer, a longer wait to get a new character that you're excited for or you're looking forward to, but it is rewarding. And when you get a Masterpiece figure, it seems like a much bigger deal than just picking up another mainline Hasbro figure or another one of the Legends figures. There's just something special about getting a Masterpiece figure. It's a much bigger deal. It's a much more fun day to me than it is for getting any of these others. So let me know what you think about Masterpiece being relevant in 2021. Do you still think Masterpiece figures are important? Is Masterpiece collecting a big deal? Do you see a lot of people dropping Masterpiece to go to Legends, to go to mainline? It is now the best time to drop Masterpiece, to go to Legends, or to go to mainline all together. Let me know in the comments below. Like, subscribe, and Titanium Hanger out.